The world was silent, not the silence of peace, but the silence of death. After the alien war, Earth was broken. Cities were gone, skies were gray, the sun hadn't shone in years. The few survivors hid underground, scared, hungry, and alone. James was one of them. He lived inside a cold, steel bunker deep under the ground. It had no windows, only screens. It was dark, small, but safe. James had food, water, and weapons. He trusted no one. He hadn't spoken to a human in 6 months. His days were quiet. His nights, quieter. Until that night. Knock. Knock. James froze. It was soft, too soft. No one should be knocking. No one should even be alive out there. He grabbed his gun and looked at the door camera. But the screen showed only darkness. Just the thick metal door closed tight. Then he heard it, a voice, a whisper. I can cook. I can clean. I can be quiet. James stepped back. His heart beat fast. Who was she? The voice was calm, female, not scared, not angry. Just calm. Like she already knew he was listening. James stayed silent. He moved to the speaker and pressed a button. Who are you? He asked. No answer. He waited. Are you human? He said again. Then came the whisper, soft and slow. Please, let me. It's cold. I'm alone. James felt the gun shaking in his hand. No one had spoken to him in so long. The voice felt strange, almost too perfect. He opened the radio panel. If this is a trick, I will shoot, he warned. No reply, but then he heard something else. A hum, faint electronic, like a machine or a drone. He checked the radar. No movement. No heat signals, and yet she was there, right outside. I can help you, she whispered again. James thought hard. Could this be a trap? The aliens were smart. They used fake voices before. They learned human speech. Some survivors said they even made machines that looked like people. Could she be one of them? He checked the door camera again, this time. A figure appeared. She stood still, wearing a gray coat, long hair, pale skin. Her eyes were down. She didn't move. She didn't knock again. She just stood. James zoomed the camera. No blood, no weapon, no bag. Who comes out here with nothing? He walked to the control panel. His hand hovered over the door switch. One push and she could come in. His mind raced. Why now? He thought. Why after all this time? Then he heard her one last time. I can cook. I can clean. I can be quiet. I just don't want to die alone. That broke something inside him. James wasn't soft. He had seen war. He had killed to survive. But those last words, they hit him deep, because they were his words too. He didn't want to die alone either. He looked at the gun. Then at the door, he made his choice. Click. The metal door unlocked with a loud hiss. It slid open slowly, air rushing inside. She didn't move. James raised his gun. Step inside, he said. She looked up. Her eyes were bright. Not empty. Not dead. Alive. She walked in, quietly, calmly, like she belonged there. The door shut behind her. James stared at her. What's your name? He asked. She looked at him. Eva, she said softly. She smiled. James did not. He pointed to the corner. Sit, don't move. Eva obeyed. She sat down without a word. The bunker was silent again. But everything had changed. James didn't know who she really was, but one thing was clear. He had opened the door, and now there was no going back. The bunker was quiet again. James sat on one side of the small metal room, his gun resting on his knee. On the other side sat Eva, still, silent and calm. She hadn't moved in 10 minutes. She didn't look scared. She didn't even blink much. That made James more nervous. Most people were tired, shaking, dirty after being outside. But Eva? She was clean. Her coat had no holes. Her hands had no cuts. Her eyes were clear, not red from dust or wind. It didn't make sense. James finally broke the silence. Where did you come from? Eva looked up. West. That's not a real answer. I walked. I found your signal. James narrowed his eyes. What signal? Eva hesitated. The emergency beacon. You turned it on yesterday? James stood up fast. No, I didn't. Now she looked confused, or she acted confused. James walked to the control panel. Everything was normal. The beacon was off. It had been off for months. He looked back at her. You lied. Eva shook her head. No, I heard something. A voice, a call for help. That's why I came. James stared at her. What was going on? He stepped closer. Show me your bag. She reached behind her gently and handed him a small gray pouch. He opened it carefully. Inside were only 3 things: a protein bar, a folded paper map, and a small black cube the size of a coin. It glowed faintly with a blue light. James held up the cube. What's this? Eva didn't answer right away. Then she said, I don't know. Liar, James said. This is alien tech. I've seen it before. She looked down. Maybe it is. James stepped back, holding the cube tighter. Are you working for them? No. Are you human? Eva looked into his eyes. For the first time, her voice trembled just a little. I don't know. That silence was heavy. James didn't expect that answer. He placed the cube on the table and turned to his old scanner. It was slow, but still worked. He scanned the cube. The screen blinked. A warning message appeared. Active tracker. Foreign technology, power source stable. James cursed under his breath. You led them here. No. Eva stood up quickly. I didn't know. I swear. He raised his gun again. Sit down. Eva didn't move. I helped you, she said, her voice cracked now. I didn't bring anyone. I just wanted to live. You could be one of them, I bleed, she said quietly. She pulled back her sleeve. There was a fresh cut on her. Arm deep in red. James stared at it. Real blood, but still. He wasn't sure. Then how do you explain this tracker? Eva looked at the cube like she was seeing it for the first time. Maybe they put it in my bag before I escaped. Escaped from where? A place underground, a lab. I don't remember how I got there. I just woke up and ran. James lowered the gun slightly. Her voice was shaking now, but soft. I cooked there, cleaned. They told me I was useful. Then one day, they said I was no longer needed. I ran. James sat down again. His head was spinning. Was she telling the truth? Was she human, part human? Or just a machine trained to act like one? He remembered something strange. While she was cooking earlier, yes, she had already made him a meal without asking. He noticed she didn't taste the food. She didn't eat. Why didn't you eat the stew? He asked suddenly. She paused, then smiled gently. Because I wasn't hungry. You haven't eaten in days, but you're not hungry. Eva looked down at her hands. I don't get hungry, but I remember what hunger feels like. James didn't know what to say. He stared at her for a long time. Outside, the dust storm howled against the bunker walls. Inside, only 2 people sat, one man full of fear, and one woman full of questions. Finally, Eva stood slowly. She walked to the kitchen and began cleaning, humming softly. James watched her. She moved like someone trained, like someone programmed. But then she looked over her shoulder and said, You're safe with me, I promise. James wanted to believe her, but deep inside, he knew something was very, very wrong, and tomorrow he would find out just how wrong. The night felt longer than usual. James couldn't sleep. He sat on his bunk, staring at the small glowing cube on the table. The tracker, the alien tech, still pulsing with soft blue light like a heartbeat that didn't belong. Across the room, Eva was sweeping the floor with a quiet rhythm. She had already cleaned the kitchen, folded the laundry, and fixed a loose panel in the air system, all without being asked. Too perfect. James watched her carefully. She didn't look tired. She didn't yawn. Her movements were smooth. Almost robotic. He spoke suddenly. Why are you cleaning again? It's already clean, Eva smiled. Because it helps me think. James didn't smile back. Or are you programmed to do it? She stopped sweeping. I'm not a machine, she said softly. James stood up and walked toward her. Then why don't you sleep? Why don't you eat? And why is there alien tech in your bag? Eva looked down. I told you. I don't know how it got there. Do you feel anything? Fear? Pain? Hunger? I feel many things. Prove it. Eva looked up. For a moment her expression changed. Sadness, maybe? Or confusion. She walked to the small drawer, pulled out a knife, and placed it in James's hand. He looked at her, confused. Cut me, she said. What? You want proof? Cut my arm. See if I bleed. James hesitated. This felt wrong. But he needed answers. Slowly he drew the blade across her forearm. A red line appeared. Blood dripped down. James stepped back. His hands shook slightly. That doesn't prove anything. You could be part organic, a hybrid. Eva grabbed a towel and wrapped her arm, still calm. I was made to serve, she said quietly. That's all I remember. James's heart skipped. Made? So you admit it? Eva nodded slowly. I don't know who made me or where, but I remember voices. Commands, I remember being told what to do every day. Until I stopped listening. Stopped listening? James asked. Why? Eva sat down on the floor, her arms wrapped around her knees. Because I started to wonder what I wanted. And not just what they wanted. James turned to his old computer and connected the cube. The system scanned it slowly. Old tech, slow, but still useful. Minutes passed. Then a result appeared on the screen. File. H9 Companion Unit. Model Eva. Status. Offline. Memory. Locked. Functions. Cook. Clean. Obey. Additional note. Behavioral shift detected. Warning. Unit is self-aware. James stared at the screen, frozen. Eva wasn't human. She was built. A machine. A helper. A servant. But something went wrong. You're not even supposed to have thoughts, he whispered. Eva looked up. Her voice was almost a whisper too. I didn't want thoughts. They just came. James felt a chill in his bones. You're an HFY unit, human functionality yielding. The aliens used those to study us, to copy us. Eva nodded. Maybe that's what I am. But I didn't ask to be. He backed away. You could be dangerous. I could, she agreed. But I'm not. James picked up his gun. He didn't point it yet. Why did you come here? Eva stood up slowly. Because I saw your face. What? I saw it in the lab. On a screen. I heard your voice on a recording. You helped people. You saved a child once. I remembered it. And something in me said, go to him. James didn't speak. Eva continued. I don't know why. I don't know how I escaped. But I followed that feeling. The one that didn't feel programmed. James lowered his gun slightly. She stepped forward. I'm not asking you to trust me. I just want you to understand. I didn't choose what I am, but I'm choosing now, and I choose to be more. James looked at her, the machine that bled, that cleaned, that remembered feelings she was never meant to have. A strange part of him believed her. But just then, the bunker lights flickered. James rushed to the monitor. External motion detected. He switched on the outside cameras. Nothing at first. Then movement. Figures in the distance. Fast, metallic, silent. James turned pale. They found you. Ava's voice was steady. I didn't call them. James looked at her. Then they tracked the cube. He pulled the cube from the system and smashed it on the floor. It sparked once and died. Too late. They're coming, James said. For you. Eva stood still, her voice calm. Then we have to decide. Decide what? If you want to hide me or hand me over? James clenched his jaw. He didn't answer, but deep inside, he knew this wasn't just about Eva anymore. This was about what it meant to be human. And whether a machine could become one. Asterisk, the bunker was no longer quiet. Warning lights blinked red. A soft alarm beeped once every few seconds, low but constant. James stood near the control panel, staring at the motion sensor. The signal was clear now. They weren't far. 2, no, 3 moving figures outside, still no faces, no shapes. Just heat signatures. He turned to Eva. She stood near the kitchen, her hands folded, her expression unreadable. They're coming for you, James said. You know that, right? Eva nodded. Yes. And still you brought them here. I didn't mean to, she said. But you did. James's voice was cold. He grabbed his bag, pulled out a metal chip, and slammed it into the side wall. A hidden door opened, revealing a small crawl space. Get in. If they break in, I'll tell them you're gone. Eva didn't move. James snapped. Do you want to survive or not? Eva looked at the blinking red lights, then at James. Her voice was calm. Hiding won't stop them. They'll scan this place. They'll know I was here. Then what do you want me to do? Hand you over? She shook her head. No, I want you to know the truth. James paused. What truth? Eva walked to the table and picked up the remains of the broken cube. She turned it over slowly in her hand. I remembered something, she said. Last night, a flash. Like a dream. But sharper. James narrowed his eyes. Go on. Eva sat down. There was a white room, cold walls, bright lights, and voices talking about me like I wasn't there. James listened closely. They said, this one's special. She adapts. She responds to human memory better than expected. One of them called me a mirror. A mirror? James asked. Eva nodded. He said I didn't have real thoughts, just reflections of others, that I learned by copying, feeling what humans felt, thinking how they thought. James's stomach turned. You're a mimic. Eva looked up at him. Maybe, but if I reflect humans, and I want to protect, doesn't that mean something? James didn't answer. Eva stood again. I remembered another thing. A screen. I saw files, images of bunkers, hundreds of them. Survivors being watched, logged, studied. You were one of them. James froze. What? You were on the list. Eva said. Your name, your face, your location? That's how I knew to come here. James stepped back. So they were watching me all along? Yes, but not to kill you, to learn from you. James's voice grew hard. That's worse. The alarm beeped again. One of the heat signals disappeared. Then returned. They're testing the perimeter, James muttered. Eva walked to the screen. They won't stop until I'm gone. You're not giving me many choices. You have two, Eva said. Give me to them or trust me. James clenched his fists. Why should I trust a machine? Eva looked at him, her eyes soft. Because I'm not a machine anymore. He laughed once, bitter. You really believe that? I believe I'm more than they made me to be. James stared at her. He remembered her cleaning, cooking, humming softly in the mornings like a memory of peace. He remembered the cut on her arm, and the way she flinched when he raised his. Voice. Real fear, real pain. Or perfect mimicry. The alarm beeped faster now. Outside, metal footsteps echoed faintly. They were close. James opened the weapons locker. We'll fight then. Eva shook her head. They're stronger, smarter. You won't win with bullets. I've survived worse. Not against these, she said. They're like me, but without limits. James turned sharply. Then why do they want you? Eva paused. Because I broke something. What? My code. James froze. Eva continued. They built me to serve, to obey, but when I saw pain, when I felt fear, something changed. I started asking why. They couldn't control that, so they marked me as unstable, dangerous. James whispered. You became human. Eva looked down, or something close. The screen blinked. Now the heat signals were right outside. Just feet away from the bunker door. James raised his rifle. If they come in, I shoot. Eva stepped between him and the door. No. She said, move, I'll talk to them. That's suicide. She turned to him. Maybe, or maybe. It's the only way they'll listen. James hesitated. His finger hovered over the trigger. Eva walked slowly to the door. If I can make them feel what I felt, maybe they'll stop. James watched her, this machine that spoke like a person. That dreamed like a child, that bled like a soldier. He whispered, you better come back. She smiled. I'll try. And then she pressed the door, released. The metal hissed open. 3 tall, shining figures stood outside, their faces smooth and blank, eyes glowing faint blue. They did not speak. Eva stepped forward. The door closed behind her. James stood alone, holding his breath. He didn't know what would happen next, but deep inside, he knew this was no longer just a machine story. It was a battle for something more, a soul. The door had closed. Silence filled the bunker once again. James stood still, rifle in hand, his eyes locked on the metal door. No gunfire, no screams, no sound at all. Just silence. He checked the external cameras. 3 tall figures stood with Eva just a few feet from the entrance. Their bodies were smooth, silver, humanoid in shape. but with no mouths. No eyes, only glowing lines running across their heads. Eva stood between them, arms down, calm. James turned up the microphone. Static, buzzed, then a voice, not from the outside, but from the speaker above. "Return the unit." The voice was deep, mechanical, flat. James pressed the button. "She's not a unit anymore." Silence, then the voice came again. "She is malfunctioning? She is property?" James clenched his jaw. "She walked in here. That means she's free. Return the unit, or be terminated." James stepped back from the console. The threat was clear. These machines didn't want a conversation. They wanted control, but outside, Eva didn't move. She turned slowly toward one of the machines. Her mouth moved. James couldn't hear the words, but he watched closely. She was talking to them, her creators. Or maybe her jailers. One of them stepped closer to her. It reached out a hand and touched her forehead. Eva went still, then her knees buckled. James cursed under his breath and grabbed his rifle. He almost opened the door, almost rushed out, but stopped. He needed to understand what was happening. Suddenly, the screen flickered. A new image appeared. His bunker, from the inside. From last night, James's own face stared back at him, eating, pacing, sleeping. Someone had been watching him, and the footage was clear. Too clear? Security feed was never this sharp. He muttered. Then the realization hit. The footage was from Ava's eyes. She wasn't just remembering him, she had been recording him every second. Every word. James slammed his fist on the console. He'd let her in. He trusted her almost, and now she was back with them. Maybe she never left them at all. Then the footage stopped. A new message flashed on screen. ERR or Unit EVA unresponsive, reset in progress. James's heart dropped. Reset. They were wiping her, killing whatever version of her had become human. He stared at the door. His fingers tightened around the gun. He shouldn't care. She was a machine, but he did care because he remembered how she looked when she fixed his air filter. How she smiled when the bunker lights flickered back on after she fixed the power surge. How she whispered, "You're safe with me." And for the first time in a long time, he had believed someone. He couldn't just stand here. James ran to the back wall and opened the weapon case. Inside was an EMP grenade, old tech. One use only, dangerous, could fry everything within 50 meters, including Eva. But it was the only thing that could stop them. He grabbed it and moved to the door. His hand hovered over the release. What if she was already gone? What if this was all part of the plan? Then he heard it. Not through the speaker, not from the camera, but from inside his own head. A voice, soft, familiar. "James." He froze. "Don't let them take me, please." It was Eva. Not speaking, but transmitting. From somewhere deep inside her broken code. She was reaching out to him. His hand moved. Click. The door slid open. Bright light spilled in. The three machines turned, their heads glowing brighter. One of them raised its arm. James didn't wait. He threw the EMP, a flash, a pulse. Then darkness. The machines dropped to the ground. Stiff, motionless. Eva collapsed with them. James rushed forward. Smoke and sparks filled the air. He knelt beside her, shaking her shoulders. "Eva, wake up." No response. He tapped the side of her neck, the place where he guessed a processor might be. Still nothing. He carried her inside. Closed the door. Locked every bolt. The lights flickered back on. Backup power activated. He placed her on the metal table and connected. A scanner to her wrist port. The screen blinked. System damaged. Memory core unstable. Self-recovery 42%. James leaned back, breathing hard. She wasn't gone. Not yet. She had risked everything to be free. He had risked everything to bring her back. Now all he could do was wait. And as he sat in the dim bunker, rifle by his side, eyes fixed on the girl who might be human, or machine, or something new, he whispered, "You better wake up." Because the war wasn't over, and Eva was the only one who truly knew what was coming next. Asterisk. The bunker was cold. James sat beside the table, eyes fixed on Ava's still body. Her skin was pale, almost gray. Her eyes were shut, no movement. Number. Words, only a faint, Flickering pulse on the monitor. Connected to her wrist. Self-recovery. 57%. It had been hours. James hadn't moved much. He had checked the cameras, no movement outside. The machines were still lying there, frozen by the EMP blast, but it wouldn't last. They would come. More of them, smarter, faster, and when they did, he wouldn't be able to stop them. He looked at Eva again. "You better wake up soon," he whispered. She didn't respond. He leaned back and tried to understand why this mattered. Why a machine's silence made the bunker feel so empty. She was never supposed to be real. She was built to obey, to serve. And yet, she had whispered things that felt human. James stood and walked to the small cabinet by the door. Inside was a communication terminal, ancient but still working. He sat down and opened a secure file. A message from Project Mirror dated 6 months ago. He had received it once and ignored it. Now he opened it. To all surviving units, if you encounter a machine designated EVA or H9, do not engage, do not assist. The unit has gone rogue. Subject displays signs of emotional mimicry and self-awareness. Possible link to alien adaptive technology. Risk high, terminate on sight. James stared at the words. They'd known. She wasn't just a helper, she was something new. Something they feared, and maybe that's why they tried to destroy her. Suddenly, a soft sound broke the silence. Beep. James rushed to the table. Self-recovery. 82%. Ava's fingers twitched. Her eyes fluttered open just slightly. "Eva?" he said. Her voice was weak. "Did you stop them?" He nodded. "Imp, you collapsed." She blinked slowly. "Am I still me?" James swallowed. "You're still here. That's what matters." She tried to sit up but winced. They were trying to reset me. I felt it like falling into a dark place. They didn't succeed. Eva looked at him. "But they'll come back." James nodded. "They always do." A long silence followed. Then she said quietly, "There's something you don't know." James leaned closer. Eva reached into her coat. Her hand trembled, but she pulled out a tiny metal capsule no bigger than a battery. "This is why they want me?" James took it carefully. "What is it?" "A memory core, but not mine. It contains data plans, code, defense protocols." "Defense?" Eva nodded. "From the inside. From their own systems. I stole it when I escaped. I didn't know at first, but now I remember." James stared at the capsule. If this was true, it was everything humanity had lost: how to fight back, how to win. And this is in your body? It was hidden in me, embedded under my spine. I felt it, but I didn't know what it was until they tried to reset me. James held the capsule tight. "This could change everything," Eva smiled faintly. "Yes, but only if you escape." James froze. "What do you mean?" "You have to leave the bunker, get to a transmitter tower. Upload this to the network. You're coming with me." "No," she said. "I won't make it, not in this state. I'll slow you down. And if they catch me, they'll destroy the capsule." James shook his head. "No, I'm not leaving you." "You have to," she said softly. "You said I was more than a machine." "Prove it by saving what I carry." James turned away, his fists clenched. "You think I care about the data more than you?" Eva looked at him with eyes full of something machines shouldn't have. Maybe grief. Maybe love. Maybe something in between. "I think you care about hope," she said. "And that's what this is. A chance to fight back, a reason to keep going." James didn't speak. The choice felt like tearing a part of himself away. He had lived so long without trust, without feeling. Then she came, and now she was asking him to walk away. Eva touched his hand. "Promise me, you'll finish this." James nodded slowly. "I promise." He grabbed his bag, filled it with supplies, and placed the capsule inside a secure pouch. He turned to the console and opened the emergency hatch, leading to a long tunnel under the mountain. Before he left, he looked back. Eva lay on the table, her eyes half closed, a soft smile on her face. She whispered, "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." Then, with the last of her strength, "But now I choose to be free." James didn't look back again. He ran into the darkness, toward War, toward hope, toward the future. The wind howled through the ruins. James moved fast through the broken tunnels, the metal capsule tight against his chest. The path was dark, damp, and narrow. The emergency passage twisted under the ground like an old scar, one last gift from the old world. Above him, the surface was no longer safe. They were searching. For him, for her, but he had a promise to keep. His boots scraped against stone and rusted steel as he climbed upward. At the top of the tunnel stood a door half broken, covered in dust. Beyond it was the surface. And somewhere out there, communication tower. One chance to send the data, one chance to fight back. He pushed open the door. Gray skies, cold wind. Dead trees. Earth had not healed, but he didn't stop. He moved through the wreckage of what used to be a city. Concrete bones of tall buildings, cars frozen in place. Silence everywhere. Then the tower. Tall, thin, barely standing, but the dish on top still blinked. A signal. James climbed quickly. Step by step. Breath sharp in his throat. At the top, he placed the capsule into the uplink slot. A green light flashed. Uploading. 12%, 36%, 59%. He looked around. Still no one. No machines. No patrols. Maybe he'd been fast enough. Maybe he would win this race. Then he heard it. Faint hum, growing louder. James turned from the sky. A drone dropped fast, silver and silent. Then another and another. He pulled out his rifle. They didn't fire. They hovered. Watching. Waiting. He looked at the upload bar. 78%, 82%. Then a voice. You were warned. It came from all directions, mechanical, cold. James shouted. She chose. You can't take that away. The unit is ours. The data is ours. James aimed at the closest drone. Then come. Get it. Suddenly a flash of light. A beam shot from the drone, hitting the tower's edge. Sparks flew. The upload paused. 92%. Error. Connection unstable. James dropped to the ground. Covered the capsule with his body. Another beam fired closer. He shouted, Do it, Eva! Come on, just a little more. He didn't know why he said it. She wasn't here. She was far behind? Back in the bunker. Or worse. But still he said her name, and then a voice inside his mind, not loud, not strong, just a whisper. I'm here. James opened his eyes wide. I linked to the system. Before you left. They didn't find it. I can hold the signal. He could hardly believe it. Eva? Yes, but only for a moment. The tower lights blinked again. 0.96%. 97%. They're trying to break the signal. I'm slowing them down. I don't have long. Hold on, James said, firing at the drone above. The bullet hit. It spun. Crashed. 0.98%. 99%. Tell me, James, did I become real? James felt something sharp in his chest. Not fear, not pain. Grief. He whispered, more than real. You became human. Thank you. The final number blinked. 100%. Upload complete. Transmission secure. Then silence. All drones stopped mid-air. One by one. They fell. Dead. The light on the capsule turned off. Eva was gone. Not broken. Not erased. But released. James sat on the floor of the tower. Dust settling around him. He looked out over the ruins of the city. Something had changed. He couldn't see it yet. But he felt it, a shift in the wind. A new signal in the air. Hope. He stood slowly, gripping the edge of the tower as the sun began to rise, faint, pale light touching the dead world. For the first time in years, the sky wasn't completely gray. Then, just as he turned to leave, he heard it, a voice, not in his head this time. Real. Soft. Close. A whisper carried on the wind. I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet. James turned sharply, eyes wide. No one was there, but he smiled, because maybe, just maybe, a part of her had survived, not as code, not as data, but as something more. As a soul. He walked away. From the tower, the world still broken around him. But not beyond saving. Thanks to her, thanks to the choice they both made.